everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Bit. Today we're talking about the upcoming brand new DC universe, and today I am joined with a very, very special guest. It is James Marriott with a glam filter on. Welcome!
You son of a... You son of a bitch. Oh my god.
Also known as Cooper Britton. Welcome.
Oh my god. Hello everyone. If you didn't hear me from a fucking witch laughter. Oh my god. Yep, according to TikTok, I am James Marriott with a glam filter. You know what? After going through the 7 stages of whatever it is, of grief, I eventually came round to acceptance. You know what? It's not actually, I don't think it's that bad of a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, for context, we put TikTok clips out on our TikTok on @NostalgiaBit podcast. You can check that out on TikTok. We put clips on there, and someone commented the first guy, R.U. Cooper, looks like James Marriott with a glam filter on. And I thought, since this is one of our first recordings, after getting that comment, I'd throw that in there. It's fair to say you weren't expecting that, but we'll roll with it. Today we're talking about DC.
Yeah, TikTok glam filter to DC.
The DC universe. What's your experience with DC, Cooper? Like, are you a big fan of DC? I mean, I know I am.
So as a kid, I was like a ride or die DC kid. Like Injustice games. Like, if you ever played Injustice 1, 2. Injustice. I was thinking about this today. I played Injustice Mobile, which is like the fighting game, and I remember being a kid. It had a really bad glitch in it where they had like packs that you could buy, like get characters.
Sure.
And you used to be able to buy the most expensive pack. There used to be a glitch where you could get it for the minimum amount. I probably owe that company like hundreds of pounds because of using that exploit. It was a public exploit. It was known.
I asked your opinions on DC, and you jumped straight into like admitting like fraud. Yeah.
It's so DC, like the Injustice games, I used to absolutely adore the Injustice games. Like growing up with the Christopher Nolan Batman movies as well, like they are legendary. But like I was always like, when I was a kid, all my knowledge of superhero knowledge was through DC. Like,
interesting.
I used to absolutely love Nightwing, Green Lantern. I absolutely love, like Shazam. I loved as a kid.
See, I hear more of this, and I'm like, how did you never play the Arkham games?
Because I was a extended universe. Like, not extended universe, but I was always more of like the unknown.
The unknown.
Yeah, the unknown. No, I was always more of like I don't know. I was never a massive Batman kid. Like, Batman was never my first.
So you were sort of
third,
you were like
fifth choice.
You were like a DC fan, but not a Batman fan. Or you were a Batman fan, but like not. It wasn't your like main.
Yeah,
interesting.
It was not like I was never like a standalone Batman fan.
That's really
like Injustice
unique.
And stuff like that.
That's really unique because I feel like a lot of people like DC mainly for Batman. Like myself, I am a Batman fan through and through. Could I give less of a shit about Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern? No, but I love Batman. I think Batman is like the Spider-Man of the DC universe. It's sort of like an iconic character that I would argue is probably one of the most well-known, bar maybe Superman.
I think I would argue it's more well-known than Superman.
I don't know, maybe.
I think
Superman's so iconic, and it's like because it's quite a generic name as well. With Batman is a niche thing. But for me, it's the Rogues Gallery. So like with Spider-Man, you have all those phenomenal villains. Batman is exactly the same. Like you can't. There is no Joker equivalent that I can think of for any other DC. Okay, maybe Lex Luthor, but like that's a stretch.
But still, I don't think. I honestly still is like a general. If you're a general DC fan, like Lex Luthor's not like if you're comparing it to Joker, like Lex Luthor's not as known as something like the Joker or something like Harley Quinn.
The Joker is a fascinating character as well, though. That's also something to argue, is that you see a lot of interpretations of this. Is that there's not. Lex Luthor, at the end of the day, mostly is a businessman, unless he's played by Jesse Eisenberg, in which case he's a fucking mental case. But the Joker is a much more like interesting character with a lot of really fascinating portrayals and history and like behind the character. Did you ever watch? Go on.
I think like the Batman related villains are so much more famous than any other DC villains in general. Like, I would probably, off the top of my head, I'd probably have to properly think about trying to name some of the villains. Like all the main DC villains that come to the top of your head are all the Batman villains because they're just so infamous and famous. It's like, it's like I said, it's like the Spider-Man. It's like it's the equivalent of like the famous villains, like the Spider-Man villains. It's like, What were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, sort of, were you ever familiar with the older sort of 80s, 90s Batman films? You said you watched the Dark Knight ones, but I think I remember growing up as well, and I watched. So I mean, there's four of them, kind of, I guess, not by the same director. There's 2 Tim Burton ones and 2 Joel Schumacher ones, I think. So you've got Batman
I might have seen
with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, which is like,
that's the
you must have seen that.
Yeah, I think I have seen that. Yes. And then isn't there...
The second one is Batman Returns with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I've seen these ones.
And then you've got Joel Schumacher, I think, maybe, for Batman Forever, which was Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Yes.
And then,
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, and then Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger playing...
Yes. Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, yeah. And Poison Ivy and...
Yeah.
He wasn't playing Poison Ivy as well.
Poison Ivy
those are the characters in it. Iconic. I love them as a kid. I loved Batman Forever as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think I loved the original Batman as well. The interesting thing about it is, especially the first Batman, I don't know how well adapted, but this is going back to Star Wars again, where we're talking about Lego games. The Batman Lego game...
Oh my God.
...kind of loosely adapted those films, or not really, but kind of at least the first one kind of loosely adapted that one with the Joker story. So then you've got a film, but it's not even just that. It's in the game that again took the music from those films, the Danny Elfman scores. Well, the original Batman film, really, with the Batman that one.
Yeah,
that's Danny Elfman's score from the original Batman film. That is again synonymous. So whenever I watch that film, it's got that air of excitement.
I think minus complete Star Wars Complete Saga, the Lego game. I think Batman's probably my next choice for... And to be honest, I would actually say it's probably pretty close to... Because I 100%ed... I'm pretty sure I 100%ed the Lego Batman game.
Really? Okay.
On my Nintendo Wii. Or it was Xbox 360. It's been that long ago, I can't remember. But, I just remember it being absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, a lot of my Batman knowledge came from the Lego game as well. But then I feel like
I guess
there's
same as
so
well.
many... Yeah.
There's
so many... Like, it's like how the Injustice games is where a lot of my DC knowledge comes from.
I've never played Injustice.
Oh, as a fighting game, it's incredible. The stories are great. It's very dark, but I absolutely adored those games. But yeah, it's just a thing. Video game knowledge, like, if it's in video game form, I just absorb it. So, but yeah, like Green Lantern, I used to love as a kid. The movies I do not like, or the movie I don't like.
Oh, right, you Green Lantern movie, right?
Yeah.
I think you've also got, obviously, I mean, you were saying about, talking about films, because obviously we're going to be leading into the upcoming DCU.
I'd like to preference, I have not watched, I think the last DC movie I legit watched was Batman v Superman.
I'd be tempted to go through them, but obviously we both watched the Nolan trilogy. Nothing much needs to be said about that hasn't already been said. Okay, well, let's get to the Batman, because I definitely want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But obviously we both watched the Nolan films. They're great. I don't think we need to touch too much on them because everyone knows they're great. Everyone knows The Dark Knight is the best one, and then Batman Begins is either 50-50. People either love it or hate it, and the last one is kind of disappointing. But that there's nothing new I think that we can add.
It's nothing really. You've literally summed it up perfectly. It's like,
I don't think we can add much to that.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was obviously after the Dark Knight trilogy came out and kind of finished with Dark Knight Rises in 2012, a year later, produced by Christopher Nolan, we had a film come out called Man of Steel, which kickstarted obviously a new universe, the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU.
Man of Steel is such a good movie.
See, I haven't seen Man of Steel in a long time, but I remember enjoying it.
I haven't either, but I remember it being incredible. I love Henry Cavill. He's such a good actor. I think he's brilliant as Superman in that movie.
I wonder if when they made that, it was ever intended to be not a multiverse, but like a cinematic universe.
I think it was.
Because it's 2013.
I truly think it was.
It's 2013, and then nothing in 2014, nothing in 2015, and then in 2016, 2 films. 2017, 2 films. Like they sort of jump the gun. I mean, not jump the gun, but they sort of go straight for it. So I'd be interested to kind of run through.
I wonder
these
if it
films.
Was a case. I wonder if it was a case of Man of Steel came out and then Marvel just skyrocketed.
Well, this
And
is
they-
obviously
and they felt
2012,
like they
2013, yeah, because Dark
Yeah.
Knight Rises came out the same year as Avengers Assemble. So DC
Yeah.
were already behind because they hadn't got even their first film in this universe. Zack Snyder released Man of Steel, which was a good film. I remember enjoying it. I'd be interested to kind of go through the DCEU to see what you have seen and what you haven't seen and kind of talk about this.
I've seen some. There is
Let's
movies here I've seen.
let's
But yeah,
go
let's
through them in order.
yeah.
Let's go through them. So the second one that came out was Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
That's the last one I saw. Well, sorry, that's not the last one I saw. That's the last one I went to see in cinemas.
Oh right, yeah.
Actually, that's a lie as well. For some reason, okay.
Stop lying, Cooper. Just tell the truth.
In my mind, okay, if we're just going off like, take out Joker, take out the Batman. If we're purely going on like the universe, the universe one with like Shazam, Wonder Woman, what was the DC universe kind of with Justice League and stuff. I saw Man of Steel and then saw Batman v Superman and hated it and then didn't watch any. I didn't watch any of like the Wonder Woman's, Shazam, like stuff like that. But we'll go through that.
Okay, well, yeah, well, let's. I mean, because I feel like I've seen probably more than you then.
Yeah,
So,
100% without
Batman
doubt.
vs Superman: Dawn of Justice came out. Obviously, recast Batman. Well, not recast, but cast a new Batman as Ben Affleck. And this was a very mixed film. Now, I'll go on here. I really enjoyed Batman vs Superman when I first saw it. I really liked it. Not many people did. But it had a sort of split fan base. I think there's a lot of, and we'll talk about Zack Snyder because I have very strong opinions on Zack Snyder as a filmmaker anyway, which I'm sure we'll get into when we talk about his cut of the Justice League. But with this, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really convoluted, and I think they needed to. It was too cut down. I feel like the extended director's cut version of Batman vs Superman actually did really massively improve that film. It was about 3 hours long, but it was brilliant. I really liked it. It really gave everything time to breathe, and it worked a lot better. And then only a few months later, we got Suicide Squad. So we're already going from what was not really a cinematic universe into now you've got Batman, Wonder Woman, references to The Flash and Aquaman, and now we're going to introduce the Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie. Great casting. Phenomenal casting. The Suicide Squad, again, a film. Have you seen Suicide Squad, the original one?
I think I've seen it, but it was like a year and a half ago. Like 2
really?
years ago, maybe. Yeah. It was
Did you not see it
long
in
ago
cinema?
that I saw it. No.
So I saw it in cinema. Directed by David Ayer. I thought it was all right. I enjoyed it, but
I remember seeing Batman vs Superman and just not liking it at all, and was like, "Yeah, this is."
Yeah.
But this was like Marvel. This was like up and coming prime Marvel, and I was like, Marvel, but like, let's be real here, like,
yeah.
And this time I was what age?
But this was 2016, right? I mean, what Marvel films were we on in 2016? Like, because you can't compete when you've got other stuff coming out. Now, I wasn't a massive Marvel fan. I kind of tuned out around Civil War and then came back for Infinity War.
Civil War, Doctor Strange, Deadpool, like.
So, yeah, Civil War. So this was Homecoming was the only one I was sort of interested in 2016, but this was sort of leading into Infinity War a couple of years after this, and they were obviously coming here. And I'm a big Batman fan. I love the Arkham game, so I was really interested to see these characters. I think that's the problem is with the Batman films, you see limited versions of this. This was a very comic booky kind of world, especially Suicide Squad, the way it was hyping itself up. To see characters like Killer Croc, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Joker, again in live action, was really exciting. And I really liked it at the time, but I now think it's shit because there is a superior Suicide Squad film which is now out, which is phenomenally better. And the original director for Suicide Squad, David Ayer, claims he's got a new cut of his film. Yeah, we've done this. Let's not go there. I'm sick of seeing director's cuts where it's just like, yes, but this is the extra director's cut with even more content. It's like, I don't want to see any more content of the Suicide Squad, the original one. I feel like we got the film, there was a director's cut released, separately to that, from the same director, and it was fine. It expanded on a lot of the stuff that was there. It was decent, but it still had that same sort of style. And then now, years later, when Zack Snyder gets his director's cut for completely valid reasons, David Ayer wants to jump on that, and that's fine. I just personally don't care. It's an 8-year-old film almost, and it wasn't a very good one, so let's just leave it where it is. I've never seen Wonder Woman.
I've not either.
So we can just kind of race over that.
Yeah.
And then
a lot of them I felt like, as much as they were connected, like Suicide Squad, all these were in the same universe, there was just something about it that then, and I think at the time with Marvel was obviously setting up like your Infinity Wars, your End Games. I I kind of missed having that, or I never felt, not that I've seen many of them, but from like the innings of hearings and seeing trailers and watching breakdowns afterwards, it never felt like there was a cohesive story. It always felt too separated for me. Whereas that time in Marvel, like I said, everything was coming together and it just felt so much nicer. And
I would argue the other way around. To play devil's advocate in a little bit of a way. No, because I agree with you on Marvel completely. Okay. They had it right. But it's not about it feeling disconnected for me. It's that they tried to connect it too quickly. Marvel spent the entirety of Phase 1 from 2008 to 2012. That's a long time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Building up individual films for all of these characters to bring them together, right? We got one Superman film and a Wonder Woman film after she was already introduced in a team-up film. Then Justice League. So the only people who'd had solo films prior to Justice League, in the Justice League, were Wonder Woman and Superman. Batman has never had his own... The Affleck Batman never had his own film. And Wonder Woman only came out a few months before that Justice League, right? The annoying thing about that is you compare it to Marvel, it's like, yeah, we had Hawkeye and Black Widow, but they had appeared in other films.
Yeah.
They were introduced, but they didn't have their own film. But we did get Incredible Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. 4 standalone films that then came together. The way Marvel was so smooth by then is they had time to bring everything together years and years and years and years ahead of the game. DC tried to rush into it and be a competitor to Marvel, and it didn't work because they just rushed it. And they rushed it out, and we ended up getting a lot of films which didn't really work. Justice League is an absolute mess, and I'm not going to go really into that because I'm not a fan of either version. The whole thing, obviously, of Zack Snyder having to leave production is completely understandable, and he was absolutely right to get his version of the film made. However, Zack Snyder's Justice League is still far too long, for it to sit down and watch it.
It's very long.
It works as a mini-series. And that's fine, and it's adventurous, and it's great, and I'm glad he got to do it. I did think the one scene that he did add in after the fact, that he actually went out and filmed and had the budget to film after with Jared Leto and Ben Affleck, was trash. So it does tell me that even with that being solid, they added an extra scene, and it was like some sort of thing, and you could just sort of tell, because the rest of the film was kind of PG, and then you had this scene with the Joker and Batman where the Joker threatens to give Batman a reach around. Seriously. I don't understand. It's very strange. And Jared Leto was terrible as the Joker. Jared Leto was terrible, full stop, as a human being. I don't like him. I don't like him in anything I've seen him in, other than Fight Club. Possibly because he gets the shit beaten out of him, but I don't know officially if that's the reason why I like him. He might actually just be good in that film.
He's very good in that
But yeah, both versions of Justice League, they're kind of sloppy, and they're fine, and whatever. It's in the past. I don't really care anymore. Aquaman... Have you seen Aquaman?
No. So for me, I can't put my finger. Even looking at these movies now, there's just
so many of them.
I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something that just doesn't sit right with me. Like it feels so like sporadic and all over the place, and I feel like that's how it must seem. I'm going on about switching sides a million different times, but they're just, as much as you say they're all set in the DC Extended Universe, I just don't like how all over the place they are, and like how and I think some of these they should have been so good, and I think maybe you're right, like they're rushing them out, but like you have so many great characters here, like characters whose these are their first movies. Like Shazam I couldn't name has had a movie, Black Adam I couldn't name has had a movie, like The Flash, I loved The Flash as a kid. I've not seen the movie nor have I watched the TV show. The TV show I've heard pretty decent, but again,
you need to watch the film, bro. It's the funniest shit you'll ever see. It's awful.
But this is my other thing. It's like, I know there's probably a reason for it, but why have two different flashes? Like, I know one of them is a series.
So this is the whole thing, though. This is a whole separate thing, because CW has their own rights to different things before the DC universe.
I hate the right stuff. It's so frustrating.
It's just how it works. In the same way that like they had they could never do a Batman series because they don't have the rights to do Batman. But they have like they have like Superman and Lois. They had Gotham, but they couldn't officially have Batman in that either. Same as Joker. They couldn't have some characters in there. But I just personally, I've never seen any of them. I've watched a bit of Gotham here and there, but I disconnect all from that because I just can't follow it. I look strictly at the films because they were trying to build a universe with this material here. And just to race through them, Aquaman I've seen, bit forgettable, other than the fact that Boba Fett's in it. Shazam is solid, actually. I think that's enjoyable, to be honest. It's an enjoyable film, but I've heard the sequel is ass. Birds of Prey, again, I kind of enjoyed. And seeing Hugh McGregor play Black Mask is pretty enjoyable, to be honest. Wonder Woman 1984, haven't seen it, but it's got Pedro Pascal in it.
I've heard. The Suicide Squad I've not seen.
The Suicide Squad is a diamond in a pile of shit because it's absolutely fantastic. It's marvelous. It's one of my favourite DC films, period.
Really?
It's so good, Cooper. I urge you to watch this film. It's one of my favourite superhero films. It's brilliant. James Gunn is incredible anyway. We know this from the Guardians films.
I forgot it was James Gunn. Which
this is the big thing.
Straight away is
James Gunn did the Suicide Squad and now is the creative fucking director of DC or something like that.
That's such, honestly, just to jump ahead before, that's such a smart idea. He's
incredible.
So
I mean, he's
good,
great, isn't he? So, I mean, it works. But the Suicide Squad was brilliant. A fantastic roster of characters. It handles the whole they could die at any point thing. It's an R-rated film. So you get a lot of swears, a lot of blood, a lot of gore. It works brilliantly for the style of the Suicide Squad. Peter Capaldi's in it, who is brilliant in it.
God, yeah, he is, isn't he?
Peter Capaldi's in it and has a little bit of a Malcolm Tucker moment, which is just, I love it. I've loved seeing Peter Capaldi do his sort of Malcolm Tucker swearing routine. I think, what does he say? Yeah. Yankee fucking doodle dandies or something, and it's great. It just feels so good. He's great in the Suicide Squad. All of the cast are great in the Suicide Squad. The actors that they bring back from the first Suicide Squad film are tremendously better in the second one. Margot Robbie gives her best performance as Harley Quinn. Yeah, I'd say other than maybe Birds of Prey, but that's only because in Birds of Prey she was the lead, basically.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. I love the fact that this kind of disconnects mostly from the DC universe in terms of other characters. It introduces Peacemaker, played by John Cena, who's incredible. And the Peacemaker series, I've not finished it, but I've seen bits of it. I enjoyed it. It's very good.
Yeah, I've heard it's really
he's
good.
great, and again, the style of it is just spot on. So it's super exciting. I love that James Gunn's taken over, and I'm really glad. I have not seen any of the other ones after that, other than Blue Beetle and The Flash.
So Blue Beetle is the... So it says different on the wiki here.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I've heard that Blue Beetle's the start of the DCU. Or the new DCU.
I thought that was the case, but maybe
I
I'm
thought that was
wrong.
the case as well. So
I mean, we can't really trust Wikipedia, but I'm kind of guessing that that's the case, but maybe due to its reception it didn't. I thought Blue Beetle was all right. I think Blue Beetle gave me sort of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man vibes. It's very, very independent, very by itself. It has a very much like a Marvel-y sense of humour. Very much better than other DC films, I would say that. Nothing particularly special for me, but I really enjoyed it, and I got a good kick out of it watching it. It felt like a bit more of a unique superhero film. It did have a few of those Marvel-y kind of tropes, which I prefer to not have any of, but it worked. And, I liked the character Blue Beetle, and I liked the way that it was done in this film. It was very enjoyable. The Flash...
One of the things I do hope is once they start the DCU... Once they've done the Batman, those kinds of finished off the ones that are going, I do hope they phase them out, and I do hope that the movies become near strictly DC, the actual the new DCU. I don't want any more spin-offs. Once you finish you John Cena's Peacemaker? Peacemaker.
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 I don't know. Yeah, Peacemaker. Once you finish his second season, I'm pretty sure that they're doing. I do hope it becomes strictly DCU.
I think it is. I was just reading there that the Blue Beetle is sort of technically comes after the Flash, but acts as sort of because the Flash acts as kind of like a reboot of the universe.
Yeah,
Blue Beetle can be part of the DCU as well as being a continuation of that. Blue Beetle is completely disconnected from what I remember anyway, so that works perfectly fine. And I think given the cast of The Flash and given what it tries to do, I think probably best to avoid using Ezra Miller in any upcoming projects. But The Flash, have you seen it?
No, I've heard
it's half brilliant, half trash. The story is a really clever idea and really exciting. And let me tell you, the scenes with Michael Keaton's Batman, flying down some flight of stairs and kicking some guy in the face, and you hear the Danny Elfman Batman theme, incredible. I can't deny that I felt things watching that. But then I get to see Ezra Miller try to act, and I'm reminded of all the hate in the world.
Yeah, and all the chaos, the pre-production chaos of him getting arrested and everything.
Yeah, it's bad.
Chaos. It wasn't bad. It was chaos. That's what it was.
And I mean, I feel like there is something I want to mention about this film, which I think is disgusting, and I will just kind of throw this in there now. I don't know if you've... I mean, this might be a spoiler for you, Cooper, but
I'm not
the film has been out for a year. The film ends where they try to sort of... I don't know. They sort of break the Speed Force or some bollocks like that.
I do know this, yeah.
They try and do a made-up word, and they scroll back lots of CGI models of Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, and then end up seeing flashes of other versions of Superman and other stuff, and they use deepfake CGI models for Christopher Reeve, amongst many other iterations of deceased actors who have played DC characters. And I think it's a fucking disgrace, to be quite honest. I think it was disgusting to watch it in the cinema. It was awful. Some of it was like trying to be cool, like it did like a CG thing with like Nick Cage as Superman, because there was apparently going to be a Tim Burton Nick Cage Superman film. Cool.
Yeah.
But I don't need to see it. And it was just, it's the whole thing of like the question about bringing up someone who's dead's likeness and using it on a CGI model. There's a way of doing it with respect, and there's a way of doing it without respect. Now, a lot of people would argue it's completely just bad either way, and that's completely acceptable, and I completely understand that. For me, it needs to really service the story, and it needs to be important, and it needs to be like demanded, like needed for it. Like, for example, Rogue One, Tarkin. I think that's a good use of it. It would have probably been better to recast. And nowadays they'd have different practices around it. Obviously, it's a very quite obvious CGI head model, but they did what they could with the time, and the family signed off on it. And he was a key part of the story. He was in a few scenes, and his impact on the story was felt because it's, Grand Moff Tarkin, and it takes place just before New Hope. It has to be in there, right? There was no reason for any of these actors to be deep-faked in here, other than to just give audiences a moment where they put it at the screen and go, "Oh my God, that's the Superman from the old times." They are actors who are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using them for a cheap cameo. And when you boil it down to that, I think that's a disgrace.
Yeah. Some might say it's a bad use of a nostalgia base, but that's not for... Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
It's the DC universe is almost cursed. It's like they just can't consistently do things right. It's something comes out, it's atrocious. Something comes out, it's a blunder. Something comes out, it's amazing. And then someone gets told that they get to play Superman, and then gets told they're not playing Superman. We're not going to name names. But it's obvious who it is. And that still hurts to this day. But yeah, it's just... I like the idea of them resetting the universe. I think it just needs
it's what they need to do, right? They've got an idea, they've got a slate for it. Like, James Gunn's worked under Marvel, he knows how that works, and he's kind of resetting it in a good way, because he's sort of... People will criticize and go, well, let Zack Snyder finish his vision. Like, look, fans, you care, right? You care. You will spend money jacking that guy off till the end of the universe, right? I know that. But, like, general audiences don't care. Right, and they don't want to see, because it's confusing to see Ben Affleck come back again, especially after Robert Pattinson. Right? Can we just leave that there, and then we'll start the new vision? Right now, I'm gassed about what's to come, and I'm excited to talk about it, because I don't really know too much about these projects, other than that they look and sound interesting. I love the fact that we're not jumping straight into the biggest, characters and doing a big team-up film. I don't want to see a team-up film from DC for quite a while, actually. I want them to leave it.
I'll take Teen Titans.
Okay, that's different. That's already a thing, though. That's...
Before we start anything, once the Batman is over, once all this stuff's done, can we just sod Batman for a little bit? Like, can we have some sort of, like, mourning period? Give it a few years before you announce you're doing Batman in the DCU. Like... I honestly think I'm excited for the Superman film. If there hadn't been the entire rigmarole with Henry Cavill and him having a cameo in Black Adam and then being like, he's back, and then guess what, he's not. Honestly, this Superman movie would be in, like, to me, would be in a much better position, because you've had so long with not having Superman. It's like, you need to give a grace period of not having these characters. Like, one of the things I don't really like is they're just constantly pumping reboots, new versions. It's like, there's no breathing room. You don't get a mourning period for someone's Batman or someone's Superman. It's like, these famous characters are just constantly keep going and keep going and keep going, which you could argue is what they did with Spider-Man as well, which goes back to what we said at the start with the Batman, and like it was Tobey Maguire, done. Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, like that kind of thing. We need some sort of period of not having these characters.
I completely agree.
Justice League, just honestly, any character that you've done so far, any of the Justice League characters, sod them for now. Don't do Justice League for a little while, like because this is the thing as well. Especially for like the Marvel movies, I loved when they were doing they're known now, but at the time the lesser known Marvel characters like Guardians of the Galaxy I'd never heard of before the movie. Yeah.
This is what James Gunn is also good at, right?
And that's what I'm saying.
That's why the Suicide Squad works, right? Because it's the same thing. You're taking characters that aren't known. DC has hundreds of Z-list level characters that you could use, and Christ, Peacemaker. Who the fuck can...
Exactly.
I guarantee you go back 10 years, and I'm guilty of this as well. I would not have a clue who Peacemaker is. I know a lot of DC characters. I've played the Arkham games. I'm very into it. Not really into the comics much, but I had no idea who Peacemaker was. I doubt many people were, right? Now,
I didn't either.
You've got a Suicide Squad game which has come out, which has got Peacemaker references in it, because the character is now so widely known because of that. That's what good writing does. And you can take things and you can play with them, but there's nothing better than taking a lesser known character. I want to have a quick rant, though, about... this episode is all just quick rant. But Black Adam...
Yeah.
Now...
The Rock.
Can we add another Black person Adam. To the George list of people I really fucking hate in the film industry? And
The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson in huge caps, with less emphasis on The Rock.
So I'll let you finish and then
I hate him. I don't like the guy. I love the fact that they worked on this for so long, and I love the fact, but he put so much time pushing this film. The hierarchy in the DC universe is about to change. Oh, we bring back Henry Cavill Superman. I think this is entirely down to him, right? As a producer on this film and someone pulling the strings behind the scenes, he was hyping it up and gassing it up and just stirring the fans on. It, for me, shows a complete level of unprofessionality. Is that the word? I don't fucking know. Unprofessionalism. Thank you, Cooper. DC obviously had their plans, right? This was in a transitional period between whatever was happening into James Gunn's new universe, right? And meanwhile, The Rock is on Twitter saying to fans like, "Oh, I wonder what happens if The Rock fights Superman, this, that, and the other." It's like The Rock wouldn't do Black Adam in the Shazam film, or anything like that. They wouldn't have a Shazam crossover, despite the fact that it's a Shazam character.
Yeah, it's a Shazam character.
It's insane to me. It's absolutely insane to me. And I get what they're trying to do. I get what they're trying to say. But the fact of the matter, it comes down to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We're talking about a man who has a contract written in where he can't be seen to lose a fight on camera. Yeah. The rock paper scissors thing. Yeah, where he did rock paper scissors and he got really annoyed because he lost. Yeah, but it goes back down to it. Did he not want to have Shazam in a film with Black Adam because Shazam would have to win?
Potentially, yeah.
And he got Superman as well. It's like, I just think it's really stupid, and I think he got fans stirred up. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. It wasn't guaranteed that Henry Cavill would be coming back permanently as Superman. And looking at James Gunn's plans, you can see that there's a new Superman picture in the works. And
it makes
complete sense.
It makes complete sense. It's perfect. But the issue was there was so much talk and so many different people being like, Henry Cavill is back as Superman. And everyone's like, hell yeah. What a way to start the universe. And then it comes round that it's like, if Henry Cavill wasn't in Black Adam, wasn't referencing any of the stuff. I mean.
It's down to fucking Dwayne Johnson.
It's a grace period. It's like
he has hyped it up on Twitter though. This is the thing. It's like before that even happened, but months before that happened, they were hyping it up on Twitter, stirring it on. Dwayne had no bother with Shazam, despite the fact that that's the universe and kind of character profile he sort of comes from. You're constantly gassing up Superman, Henry Cavill, just dropping hints to fans, getting people stirred up. It's like they had no choice but to get Henry Cavill on board. But clearly didn't consult the people who are going to be running DC from now on.
It's like, if you take, so obviously, minus the Snyder Cut with 2021, I'm not counting it. Normal Justice League was the last proper time Henry Cavill's Superman was seen, yeah? Mm. So imagine if he wasn't in Black Adam and we'd gone 8 years without Superman, and now they've announced that they're making a new Superman film. It's a brand new start.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Peacemaker though as well. It's like they did. It's just confusing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
do
It's just
stuff,
confusing. Right? It's just all over the place, and yeah, they need to just begin, like, once the DCU starts, they need to very soundly establish, like, even have a title credit on the poster, have something, have a seal of approval that it's part of the DCU, please, and then over time, let's phase out all this DCU stuff. Let's finish the stories. Don't just cancel them. Just finish the stories. It'll be nice. Give the actors because some of them are good and some of them are worth finishing. Like the Batman's worth finishing. Peacemaker's worth finishing. It's like,
but Peacemaker's transitioning. So this is the thing.
But,
like, it's not some stuff that's not locked into the old universe, right? Peacemaker is sort of a bridge, I think. So Peacemaker season 1. I don't know if again, possible spoilers here. But
just go. I'm not fussed.
Very brief scene at the end of Peacemaker season 1. The whole Justice League show up.
Yeah, I knew that.
And it's not really. I mean, Ben Affleck isn't there, Henry Cavill isn't there, Gal Gadot isn't there, right? But you have Jason Momoa and you have Ezra Miller who are there and have a little chat together, but everyone else is just kind of like a silhouette, like a body double.
Yeah.
And it's great, cool. But obviously, Peacemaker season 2 is actually in the DCU. That's been confirmed. So,
is it? Okay.
There's probably going to be some sort of transitional period, but I think it's more of a natural thing than it is with like Deadpool coming to the MCU. I think it's going to be something like a
I was just about to reference this.
It's going to be a continuation without doing a big thing of it. It's just a starting point, and I think that's good. And I'd be interested to talk about that because I don't really know too much about what's going on coming forward, and I'd kind of like to talk about the
let's
slate.
Stop rambling
because I feel like we could ramble about. There's so much to ramble about with the old DCU stuff, but I think let's talk about this. So we've only got a few things confirmed upcoming, but I mean we'll talk about the Elseworld stuff in a bit. But
I mean, and some of these were very recently.
So we've got Superman, which is in. It was called Superman Legacy, and it's now just called Superman, which is in. It's filming now. Actually, it's in actual production. It's been directed and written by James Gunn, produced by Peter Safran, aiming to come out next July. And there's a lot of information out there about this film. So we actually have cast members and stuff. So we have. I don't actually know who we have playing. David Corin Sweat. Now I don't know who he is, but he's.
I think a lot of them are new,
up and coming actors, which I like. I think he looks the part though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of them. He looks great, actually. But they've teased what the new Superman logo looks like. It looks very good.
Yeah, it looks very
Nothing
cool.
really much to say about that. A lot of people have a lot to say about that for some reason. It's just a logo. Who cares? You've got Hawk Girl in this film.
Yeah, see, there's so many characters.
Green Lantern is going to be in this film.
Yeah, Guy Gardner. Yeah. Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, which is nice.
The Engineer, a member of the Authority. Interesting. So they've got a lot of different people. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. I didn't know Nicholas Hoult was playing Lex Luthor. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. The thing is, this film has my complete attention. James Gunn is a phenomenal filmmaker, and I'd love to see him tackle this story. I think he's an interesting one. I'd usually go for him for like the Guardians, kind of like outcasty kind of group projects, and I think he's done an excellent job with that. And I think obviously now he's fronting the new DC universe. I'm very interested to see what he would do with a Superman film, and I'm completely here for it. What do you think?
I'm fully on board. Like, just the fact that I think it's going to be a very much a nice introductory movie. A few villains, a few characters, stuff like Hawkgirl, who hasn't really been seen very much. I think having Lex Luthor off the start's quite good. I don't know if he's going to be the villain. I don't know if it's going to be like a Norman Osborn kind of situation, which I'm here for. It would be cool. But I think it like having Guy Gardner have the Green Lantern to start with. Like I don't believe. I think Guy Gardner's an older Green Lantern, so it's So it's not like
Fillion's been around a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah. So it's not like the Green Lantern. I don't believe. I think it's like an already established member of the Green Lantern Corps. But I mean, I'm here for it. Like, I'm excited to see the more announcements. I'm assuming we're going to start getting some leaked set shots at some point, which always happens with these kind of movies.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say. I'm excited for it.
It's probably one of my most anticipated superhero films up and coming. I want to give DC its best shot. Like I know you're not. 100%. I know you're not, but I've personally tuned out of Marvel quite a lot recently.
So
I'm kind of in the mood for new superhero stuff. I'm kind of in the mood for new good superhero stuff. I think DC have a real point here where they can really interject and do something really good and interesting and new. And I think James Gunn is the man to front that completely.
Marvel has fumbled and dropped the ball quite a lot recently, and I think it's the perfect opportunity to really. And it's obviously the next movie is 2025, so it's next year. But I don't imagine we have Deadpool, but I can't imagine we have such a crazy turnaround in a year for Marvel. It's a perfect time to step in and really fight for this market and possibly completely turn the tides. And I would be very interested for it to happen, and I'd be very interested to see what they decide to do off the back of stuff like Superman and the upcoming projects, because there's, I don't know, God knows how many DC comics. You could do anything. The world's your oyster.
There's so much you could do with it. So DC has a massive catalogue, and that's what I quite like about James Gunn, is whereas the DC EU tried to go Man of Steel, then Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, then it's all the main characters, right? With this, and let's just kind of run through it, we've got Superman, The Authority, which is we'll get back to, The Brave and the Bold, which is a new Batman film, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing, and I think that's fascinating. I love that we've got a real mix of stuff there. The Authority is a really interesting one. Now, I don't know anything about The Authority.
No, I don't either.
James Gunn described The Authority as a team who thinks the world is completely broken and the only way to fix it is to take things into their own hands, whether that means killing people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, whatever they want to do to make the world better. So sort of like anti-heroes kind of vibe where they're doing for the ultimate good, but they're not doing it by the law book. I'm
just looking at members. I don't recognise.
It's a very new, which I love that. We've got a film coming out with that.
I love it. I don't recognise any of the names of the Authority on the Reddits and stuff. Not the Reddits, the wiki pages and stuff. Which I'm so down for.
100%.
I love not knowing anyone. It's perfect.
I think it's an exciting prospect, and it gets me kind of gassed up to know that we're getting something that's completely original that I don't know anything about, and that can connect to this universe. The Brave and the Bold is another one. The only thing that worries me about this is that it's being directed by Andy Muschietti, who previously in the DC universe directed The Flash.
Ooh.
Which I'm not crazy about, but he also did direct It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, which I quite enjoy. Okay. Yeah, so I think he's a good, talented filmmaker. I just don't know with him and Batman. That being said, the Batman stuff was the best thing about The Flash, so I'll let it happen. I'm excited for this. We'll get back to the Batman. We're probably gonna really have to rush through the Batman stuff, but I think
I've just read the synopsis of this. It's members of the Bat family, including introducing Batman's son Damian Wayne's version of Robin.
Yeah, they're doing Batman and Robin. They're doing a sort of the cheesy kind of Batman element, because obviously we've got the Robert Pattinson serious year one Batman vibe. This is going to be very much like a new thing. Bat family, Batman and Damian Wayne.
I wonder who they'll...
Strange father and son story. That's really interesting. But I love it. I think that could really work, and I'd be super interested to see how that is. But by the existence of Damian Wayne, that's also going to have Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul as a connection, extension.
And then that'll directly lead into Teen Titans as well, which is obviously we'll talk about soon.
Of course. But I'm excited for that. I'm always a big fan of Batman stuff. Batman is absolutely my bag with DC. I don't care how many different versions of Batman we've got going at the same time. I will watch every single one. I'm gassed that we're getting sequels for Joker, depending on how good or bad they might be. I'm gassed we're getting the Batman sequels. I'm gassed we're getting the Brave and the Bold. I don't care if it's confusing for general audiences in that case, because I love Batman and I love to see different adaptations of it in different styles. The Brave and the Bold will be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Then we've got Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which I don't know too much about.
Damian Wayne's going to be so good.
Damian Wayne's going to be great.
I've just read, it's going to be such a good character to introduce early on. Good. Sorry. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. There's a Supergirl series, isn't there? I'm right in saying that.
There is, yes, but this is not the same thing. This is very new.
Yeah.
Science fiction epic film, beautiful star-spanning tale. So it's not... So... She was raised on a chunk of the destroyed planet of Krypton and watched everyone around her die. Her cousin Superman, who was raised on Earth by loving parents.
Cousin,
So this is this is going to be a very interesting sort of space story. So I'm kind of interested about that. And then of course we've got Swamp Thing as well.
It's a comic book adaptation.
Yeah. Okay.
Of a mini-series called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Hey, I'll take that.
Came out in 2021, 2022. That's quite cool.
So the exciting thing that I've got here is, again, Swamp Thing as well. Moving to that is exciting. Can we just specify that a gothic horror film around Swamp Thing? Now, I don't know if this is locked in, but James Mangold has been put in the director spot. If you're not familiar with who James Mangold is, he directed Logan, he directed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, RIP, and he is penned to direct Origins of the Jedi Star Wars film at some point.
Oh, yes, he is.
So this is an interesting one. So if he does a really good job with this, I'd be super excited. And I'm hoping he gets a little bit more freedom with this, because Dial of Destiny was ass. I hate to say it, I love Indiana Jones, but it was poor. I did enjoy it, but it was poor. Whereas this is kind of interested. James Gunn described Swamp Thing as a passion project for James Mangold. So that's what's interesting there. Clearly got a passion for it, clearly excited for it. Super excited for that. Buzzing to see whatever this Swamp Thing film is going to be. And then, of course, Teen Titans, which hasn't got much information about it. But just I will let you talk about it, because I don't know much about the Teen Titans, so I'll let you waffle.
Knowing there's a Teen Titans movie coming is beautiful. I never grew up with this animated TV show, but like the members of Teen Titans, like Cyborg, like Nightwing being a part of it eventually, Damian Wayne, obviously. There's just it's like I'm gonna get rinsed for using that. It's like Young Avengers, but better. It's like Young Avengers is like new versions of old superheroes, whereas Teen Titans is new superheroes and a new group, and it's just to be honest, I'd be interested to watch like the animated TV show or delve in like Raven. Like I'm pretty sure Raven's Teen Titans, but it's like there's just so much potential there. Like obviously they've done like the old Cartoon Network TV series, I think it was. And I think they've done a TV show as well called Titans, maybe. I could be wrong. But I'd be very interested to see how they go about it. And typically the Teen Titans are quite a big group. I think so. I could be chatting absolute shite. But there's like members, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Flash, Nightwing, Raven, Starfire, Triora. I apologize for pronouncing that wrong. There's just so many characters you can introduce, especially if they're going to be young as well. Like they're going to be proper teenager Teen Titans. I'm going to assume Damian Wayne's in it. Damian Wayne is, I'm pretty sure, the founder of Teen Titans. So, and in here he's listed as Nightwing, but I don't imagine they do Robin, Damian Wayne to Nightwing so quickly. And obviously we don't know what age will. Anyway, there's just so much potential with it. It could be absolutely incredible. Getting Kid Flash so early on would be pretty cool as well. But then at the same time, we have a Kid Flash in the TV show, I'm pretty sure. Having Raven as well, a live action Raven would be incredible. But it'd be interesting to see whether they do children Teen Titans or like adolescent Teen Titans, like older teenagers. But then it all depends on. It's all going to depend on how they go about Damian Wayne in Brave and the Bold. And
I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I think there's a lot of promise there and a lot of interesting characters to work from. I've just been gassing myself up reading what's planned for the television series section, though. So I also bear in mind as well, apparently the first, we've got this Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters title for the first phase of DCU, which is kind of interesting.
I have to say, on record, if it's not already obvious, I'm a Nightwing simp. I adore that character. Like,
I love Nightwing, yeah, he's
honestly,
great.
The fact we've never had a proper Nightwing, like, there was a movie that was rumoured that never got
It should be in this universe, though. They'll do it. I think they.
Well, Damian Wayne, it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's literally, it's like you set it up so well, like from the get go. Honestly,
I think Nightwing could already be knocking around, though. I think like if we're gonna do Damian Wayne, isn't Nightwing?
No, but Damian Wayne is Nightwing.
No,
are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
To be fair,
I think it's
a
Dick
Robin
Grayson.
Situation.
Dick Grayson is the first Robin, and hang on, the four Robins. Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, and Damian Wayne. Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing.
Dick Grayson, yeah.
Tim Drake, I think is his name, becomes Red Robin. Jason Todd becomes Red Hood, and Damian Wayne is just Robin, I think. So I think, but that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. If Brave and the Bold exists in that same continuity, Damian Wayne is the new Robin.
Dick Grayson is,
it's going to be an older Batman who's probably at the point of retiring. And in this universe, we already have Nightwing.
We already have Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Yes! You can tell. This is what I'm saying, though. I feel like you can tell that it's been so long since I've looked into DC stuff. Because, like, just Marvel's been running my superhero life for so long that since I was like it's probably been like close to 10 years since I properly looked into DC stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll talk about Marvel in due course as well. We've got a Marvel episode lined up for the very near future, so look out for that one when we start to review those films and TV shows and stuff.
When there was a Nightwing comic came out where he had a red suit. My God, when that released,
New
that
52
suit is stunning.
New 52.
Yes,
New 52.
The
Nightwing.
artwork for New 52 is stunning. Anyway, we'll go on to TV shows before.
You've got so much. Yeah. There is so much here. We'll just kind of race through them, but the key ones I want to mention: Creature Commandos, which is the first one that's locked in. Now, I know nothing about this, but I just read the description, and I am gassed out of my mind over this. So this is basically Suicide Squad, but a different team. Rick Flag Sr. And a bunch of other random low-end characters from the DC universe, similar to Suicide Squad, and it's ran by James Gunn. It's a 7-episode run. I believe it's coming late this year, but it's not been confirmed yet. But super exciting. Amanda Waller brings together a team with Rick Flag's dad, which is interesting. Played by the guy who did Crossbones in the Marvel universe. Love that.
Really?
And Sean Gunn is reprising his role of Weasel for this film from the Suicide Squad film, as well as Viola Davis and Steve Agee to play them, Amanda Waller and John Economos as well. That sounds great. Peacemaker season 2 obviously is happening. I quite like it, and I'm excited. There's not really much about that yet because it's not even really started production, but we've got a Amanda Waller series, which is great because again, Viola Davis is a brilliant actress.
She's so good.
Then we've got a Lanterns TV series.
Honestly,
Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
A Lanterns TV series, getting to see a proper Lantern Corp. Oh, it would be so good. It'd be so good. And There's so much potential for it.
We've got Paradise Lost, which I believe is about Wonder Woman's
set to be
island.
A Game of Thrones-esque series about the Amazons and Wonder Woman's home.
Interesting. Before we get a Wonder Woman in this universe, that's cool. Booster Gold is the one after that as well, which is a great character, I believe. I don't really know too much, but Mike Carter Booster Gold is a disgraced former football star in the 25th century who travels back in time to pose as a superhero using basic future technology. When Gunn and Safran unveiled the first project in the DC slate, because Booster Gold is an outright comedy series set in the DCU. Gassed for that.
Amazing idea. Such a good idea.
And then we've got an untitled Arkham series, which was revealed by Matt Reeves.
An Arkham Asylum.
This is kind of in the background though, so this is involved with the Elseworld stuff, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's more in terms of like there was going to be a Gotham City Police Department film, a film or series, and then it's going to be Arkham. But there's not much about that yet, and there's not sort of any new development on that. And then obviously you've got the stuff outside of that as well. So DC Elseworlds, of course. The key things about this, you've got the animated Teen Titans series, and then the animated Harley Quinn series, all the other
there's the Isekai
Superman and Lois
series
films, all that series, sorry, not films, all these other little animated like series, live action or animated otherwise. But the key ones of note here, of course, are the Joker films and the Batman films. So the Joker obviously came out. What did you think of the Joker?
The first one's
Joker.
Incredible, like phenomenal. I went to see it like the day it came out, the day after it came out. It was absolutely phenomenal. Like
I love it. I think it's unoriginal, but I think it's brilliant. You know, I think it's a really good.
I love the fact I went to see with my girlfriend, and I love the fact that the first half of it was kind of like, it was chill, like it was like a standard Joker film, and then you hit like the halfway point, the last third, and it was like chaos, and it was great. It was like just properly like ramped up the stakes. It was class.
I loved it, and I'm excited for the sequel. I think the promise of that first film, again, as I say, it's probably quite unoriginal, but I think it's heavily inspired clearly by Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. That's very well known, two Martin Scorsese films, which are very highly regarded from that era. And might I say, both great films, and I've seen both, and The King of Comedy is better than Joker, admittedly, because it's the original, and it's just brilliant, and it is very, you can tell where Joker has taken a lot of inspiration from that, but it is a homage to that in the mould of something from the DC universe, and I think given that, it is very good. Originality aside and inspiration aside, I think it's a good film. And I love it. And one thing I will add on top of that is the cinematography in this film is bloody marvellous. The colour profile, the quality of the fidelity of the image that we're seeing, I think looks gorgeous. And I'm super excited to see what they're going to do with the sequel to that, which is coming out this year, starring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
I am so down.
I'm
Can
kind
I
of
just say this
interested.
now?
I think it
I
could
am
either be
so
really
down.
good. It could either be really good or it could be really bad, and I genuinely don't know. It's going to be sort of half a musical, but it's going to have not original songs, but like jukebox kind of thing. Which I'll be honest with you, I would have preferred it be a complete musical than it be a kind of jukebox musical where it's just pushing existing songs with I don't know.
From a story point, I'd like to see them do Harley Quinn's like full story. Like at the start of the movie, she is like the psychologist or for the joke, and she falls in love with him. That kind of stuff. I'm not gonna lie, Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, I'm kind of down. Like
that's great. Yeah, she's a
for
great,
this version of Harley Quinn. I'm down.
Yeah.
I love Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think
different
it's incredible.
universe that you can't compare it. And
that's what I'm saying. There's like for this, like if they were to do Margot Robbie for this Joker, it just wouldn't work. Whereas I think Lady Gaga fits the vibe 100%. and the atmosphere for especially like the first movie and what I assume is going to be similar for the second movie. I am down 100%.
So it says apparently that the film is expected to include 15 musical numbers, most of them covers of pre-existing songs, but with the door open for an original song or two that will incorporate elements of the score. Interesting. And it's coming out this year, 4th of October. Yeah. Very interesting. I'll be seeing it. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Mainly to see whether it's a complete disaster or whether it's completely brilliant. If it takes it in a new direction, then I'm super excited for it. I think the original Joker was great and it was a good springboard to make new stuff off. I personally would have preferred like a sort of dark universe setting this where we just explore the origins of every villain. So we have like a Penguin film and we have like a Two-Face film and stuff. That would have been more interesting to me personally, but I'm here for a Joker continuation, especially with Joaquin Phoenix, who is an incredible actor, and I'm not surprised because he won an Oscar for this film.
Yep.
So, fair enough. And The Batman, we'll round off on that, on a positive note. I am such a big fan of The Batman.
I think The Batman may be the most perfect way to set up something like a Batman universe. The subtle teasers and subtle character introductions and how characters leave and come back, like the subtle introduction of like the Joker extra scene, like the subtle introduction of Catwoman so early on and then she leaves, like the way they've taken Riddler and just completely like changed it into a different version of it. For me, I felt like they could do anything and it would make so much sense. Like it felt like the next movie could be any villain, any DC villain, any Batman villain, and it would not feel shoehorned. It just feels so well set up.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Avid listeners of Nostalgia Bit will remember last week I talked about my favourite video games and I talked about Arkham City and I talked about how the best a Batman movie could be would be to adapt the style and feel of the Arkham games, and I think this gets it as close to the money as possible. I think this feels dark and gritty, but also brilliantly performed and realistic. It's down to earth, but it also has that stylistic approach. Gotham City has never looked as gorgeous as it has in The Batman, in my opinion. It combines that real-world aesthetic with that sort of gothic aesthetic as well. Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher went above and beyond to make Gotham look really gritty and gothic, and it was cool, don't get me wrong, but kind of unrealistic. And then Christopher Nolan made it boring. It just made Gotham City look like Chicago. Whereas the Batman makes Gotham feel like an entity again, and it is incredible and it looks brilliant, and I love that.
There's so many of these movies I need to watch again. There's just
and of course, I see what you mean as well about including all these characters. Again, I love the fact that it's not about building. I don't want to build like a DC universe off that, but I want to build a Batman universe off that. And I think
that's what
it's really cool in the sense of I know that's what you're saying. I'm just kind of pointing out that that's I agree with that, and I think that like I love the way they include little things in here. Like the Joker does make a very brief appearance, but isn't overstaying his welcome. We have Catwoman, we have the Riddler, we have the Penguin, we have Falcone.
It just feels like they could do any, like as much as they're going to probably keep it to a trilogy. Like the next movie, I feel like they could do any one. And they've quite well set it up, and I think they've set it up for quite a nice like Arkham Asylum situation, like a proper Arkham Asylum breakout kind of situation.
So there's a lot of theories about what they would do with the sequel. A lot of things going around. A lot of people have discussed Hush.
I've just seen
as a
that,
big theory, a big sort of rumor.
Yeah.
Hush would be brilliant. Gives Robert Pattinson a chance to play it off himself as an actor. Because if you're not familiar with Hush as a concept, Thomas Elliot, Bruce Wayne's former childhood friend who is immensely jealous of Bruce Wayne, actually decides to murder people and steal bits of their face to craft a perfect replica of Bruce Wayne's face and hands and body and everything, and wears Bruce Wayne's like a suit, basically. So it'd be a perfect chance for Robert Pattinson to play both of those characters. But then also we've got other rumours as well. Clayface has been a big one as well.
Clayface. I'd like
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it in this sort of style,
idea.
but I'm here for it completely.
Yeah. Like them taking like the villains, like the Riddler. The way they kind of switched the Riddler for the first one was so clever. Like taking the gimmicky, funny, typically like green suit Riddler and just completely changing it to more of like the proper dark, dingy. I feel like they could do anyone like that. Like, even the little Joker extra bit, just like, what's his name? Who played Joker in it?
Barry, yeah.
Great. Like, it was very well done.
It was excellent. It was really, really good.
Yeah. Again, great setup. Like, but again, you're gonna have like two Jokers running around. But again, I'm fine. I'm fine with them doing their own, and I'm quite happy that they. Some of the times I'm quite happy they don't cross strings. Like I don't want Joaquin Phoenix's. I like that he has his own thing. Like I don't want a Batman in his universe. Like I want it to be its own thing.
Yeah, completely.
I'd rather it be well before, like, and no one else is in the picture. Just have it about him. Whereas this, I like the potential of they could do Two-Face if they want to do Two-Face. They could do Mr. Freeze if they want to do Mr. Freeze. Like they could do Poison Ivy if they want to. Like there's so much stuff they could do. Like it's just perfect. So yeah.
No, it's fascinating, and I'm gassed with what they're going to do with it, and I'm sure in a future episode we'll end up talking about it again at some point at length, proper full in-depth review. Obviously we've got the Penguin TV series coming off the back of that, which is going to come out this year as well. I'm gassed for that. The trailer looks great, and I'm so excited to see what they do with that. Colin Farrell was great in those films. Well, that film. So I'm excited to see what they do with this, and whether it hits the same sort of beats as the Robert Pattinson film. So yeah, but I feel like we have talked a lot about DC. We've covered a hell of a lot there, though. I'll give you that. And we'll definitely talk about DC again in the future. And obviously with superhero stuff, we will be talking about Marvel in a couple of weeks' time. So keep an eye out for that. But it is time, Cooper.
It is time.
It is time for Just News. The one show we have, the one little segment we have here on Nostalgia Bit, where we talk about the latest and greatest in the stories in the world and news. It's not that wasn't English, but we have a fun little story today, which I am going to show Cooper for the first time. It's another example, Cooper, of one of my favorite type of stories, ones that I've read the headline to and went, "That's good enough."
Every time.
So who knows? It's a lottery. Could be boring. Could be entertaining. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Dad devastated to learn his son is actually his uncle.
Wait, what?
And that was enough for me. With the onset of at-home DNA testing, there have been more and more heartbreaking instances of parents learning a child isn't theirs. The most common cause of this is an unfaithful partner. The news can be devastating for some, but it was especially painful for one man who was sharing his story on TikTok. Of course he was. In the video, he explained how he learned that the boy he thought was his son is actually his uncle. How did it happen? Well, the man and his girlfriend had been staying at his grandfather's, and during that time, the man's girlfriend wound up having an affair with his grandpa.
Oh my.
That led to the baby boy, which the man thought was his own.
Oh my God.
And as if that wasn't crazy enough, it turns out the grandfather has done stuff like this before. The TikTok is captioned, "Can't believe I expected more from a man that had a whole other family around the corner from my granny house."
Oh my! What on earth?
I don't even know how that happens. What kind of riz has this old man got?
I have so many questions.
I imagine having a kid and being like, "That is your uncle."
How old is the grandfather?
I don't know, but he's enough to keep it moving.
What?
He's enough to turn the riz on. Because that's bloody impressive. I mean, well, there's more. Let's have a look. In a follow-up post, the man added that he still wants to be part of his son/uncle's life. Brilliant.
Oh my God, this is... Oh my...
But he also questioned why his grandfather would hurt him like this. In a different video, he described how he found out about the affair, explaining that he kept hearing texts come in on his girlfriend's phone, so he checked to see what was going on, And that's when he saw the texts were from his grandfather. He then found years' worth of messages from his granddad, including pictures and explicit stuff. Oh, no.
No. I'm not being funny. They're putting it on the grandfather. She is equally to blame.
She is mad.
This is bad. This is terrible behavior. This is poor.
It's unbelievable. Like, that's insane. What has this old man fucking got on her? Like, what?
Bro, Thanksgiving, Christmas must have been awkward. Like, oh my. What?
Would anyone who's the granddad's passing the food round, head of the table? Anyone want stuffing? And the girlfriend's like, what? Commenters were very supportive of the man, writing things like, "I'm so sorry for you. I know it seems dark now. Get some time away for yourself. You didn't deserve this, but there is someone else out there for you." He hasn't been broken up with, though. That's not the main thing he's upset about. You know, it's probably the fact that his granddad's shagging his missus.
This is bonkers.
Don't stop loving that young man. It's your time to stand tall in all this. Break the cycle and love that boy, regardless of what title he has. What title
that
he
must
has?
Be a
He's not fucking Duke of Cambridge. He's your uncle.
I would pay to be a fly on the wall when that guy has to explain the situation to his son when he's older. I would pay to be a fly on the wall for that. How old is his grandfather?
Can you imagine when the kid's at school and he's like, you know, when you like stay behind when your parents are like working late and they come to pick you up after, so you have to sort of stay around.
Oh yeah, and my nephew's coming to pick me up.
Yeah, who's coming to pick you up? Oh yeah, just my nephew. Sorry.
What did he say? It's so bizarre. I hate it. So
awful.
I just can't.
I love how that's the article as well. There's nothing more to that.
I just can't fathom that stuff like this actually happens. It's like she is equally, she is a bad person. Like, let's get that out there now. She's equally to blame for this. I do agree. I think it's good that he stays in the kid's life. Godspeed when you have to have that conversation. I just want to know how old his grandfather was, because
I reckon he's got to be
60s,
older.
Mid-60s.
Must be older.
Do you reckon?
Surely.
It's crazy.
Surely older.
Well, great grandfather. Yeah, be the kid's great grandfather. Well, what would have been the kid's great grandfather?
Is this a good time, Cooper, to tell you that I'm actually your second uncle?
I'd be gassed if you were my second uncle. I'd be confused, but I'd be gassed if you were my second uncle. And on that note...
Anyway, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Nostalgia Bay. We'll be back next week with a whole new exciting episode. What is next week, Cooper? Have we got a...
next week, I believe, is episode 10.
Oh my God, wow.
Double digits.
Double digits, baby. We did it.
We're the big leagues now.
That's us.
We are the Nostalgia Bay. We're changing the title to the Nostalgia Bay.
No, we're not. We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
So next week we're going to be talking about YouTube review skits.
Specifically,
our ones.
Our ones.
Your
your ones that I was there for.
Our ones.
They're on your channel. I'm just joking. Our skits.
Our skits that we did.
Ours.
Yeah.
Our skits.
So there's a lot of exciting fun stories about that, but I can't wait for that. We haven't recorded that one yet and won't be in this session, so I'm excited to record that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm sure you guys are very excited to hear it, and if you're not, you should be.
In prep for it, I would love you to send me the unlisted links so I can rewatch them all.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
In preparation.
100% be doing that. Yeah.
Because I want to rewatch all of the ones that aren't on the channel anymore to properly cause I know for a fact I'll start seeing that and be like, wow, the memories will start flooding back.
Yeah. But yeah, that's next week. Listen out and see you all next Thursday. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you all later. Bye bye.
See you later. Bye bye.